Hello everyone and welcome back to another Train Sim World 2 news video. Another article, the Franta Rampa Dresden to Chemnitz is coming soon. We spoke to some of the developers to learn more about the route's iconic unit, the incredible DBBR612 DMU, Train Sim World 2's very first tilting train. Tell us a little about yourself. So this is from Tom. I'm Tom. I'm the lead vehicle artist for Train Sim World at Dovetail Games. I support a talented team of artists who build the rolling stock that we all enjoy driving and interacting with. And then one from Mike. My name is Mike Goltz and I've been working on the Train Simulator and Train Sim World franchises for about 10 years now. Besides my personal DLC work, I work as a contractor for Dovetail Games. Having had a hand in making a lot of DLC content happen in the past for both Train Simulator and Train Sim World, I'm also the brains behind Train Sim Germany, so the developer of the Vossler G6. What has been you or your team's involvement in creating the DBBR 612? Tom says, I've been overseeing the great work being done by both our internal and external artists involved in producing the 612, in conjunction with ongoing communication with a few external collaborators who have been forthcoming with information and reference material, which as always makes a massive difference when it comes to producing rolling stock, and it's something we're incredibly grateful for. Then Mike says, for the 612, I've been doing the setup and audio work. This means I created a whole new train from scratch, including all of the simulgraph work and tilting system integration. If it's a visible component, that's my responsibility. My involvement in the audio work means recording brand new sounds from a real DB612, then editing it before implementing the best mix into the build. What is unique about this train? Says Loco, but it's more of a train, isn't it? Tom says the 612 gets to boast a few firsts for Train Sim World. Not only is it our first German DMU, it is also our first tilting train to boot. It also features some interesting touches such as the family area. This features child-friendly graphics from DB and is something we've not featured in any previous German rolling stock before. The Talent 2 on Talent 2 on Rapid Transit. I think that has a kids sort of area, and I think possibly one of the ices does. No, I don't think it does. No, I think the Talent 2 from Rapid Transit that has a little kids table. I think. And Mike says the obvious things are the tilting mechanism, also known as the Neigen technique, on GST, which is the track curve dependent car body control, as well as GNT, the new safety system that works together with the tilting. The 612 can drive faster than the usual max speed which normal German trains follow, while leaning into curves of up to 8 degrees. The centrifugal forces that passengers feel in the train are reduced. This allows the 612 to drive up to 20 kilometers faster in curves than traditional non-tilting stock. A tilting train? That's really interesting. What new processes did you utilise compared to creating a non-tilting train? And Make says, this was actually a brand new area for me to get my teeth into. I've never done anything that tilts before, neither in TS or TSW. So first, I needed to do some in-depth research and consider how I was going to recreate it before I started to work on the train. I read some technical descriptions of tilting systems as well as a manual for the DB612 itself, getting an idea of how it's driven and the physics behind different key values like speeds and forces. The general workflow for creating a train was not much different except for one aspect. All the components that form the train above the bogies need to be able to tilt along with the train's body as well. Understandably, this caused some headaches, but in the end, I got it working well. The tilting animation is really smooth and eye-catching to watch. Why do some trains tilt, and how do they stay safely on the tracks at speed? The tilting mechanism is used specifically to keep the train on the track whilst traversing curvature at high speeds without impacting comfort levels for the passengers on board. As the train approaches the curve at high speed, the body tilts into the curve via a set of actuators mounted between the bogies and the body. The technology was introduced to facilitate higher running speeds on lines that weren't built with high speed running in mind. So a bit like the West Coast Main Line in the UK. The tilting allows safe operation at high speed without requiring new lines to be built or existing lines to be rebuilt, both of which can be cost inhibited. And Michael says, a good question. The honest answer would be Mother Nature. Generally, tracks in Germany are laid so that the higher speed trains can easily run faster on them as allowed, so the speed profile for passenger trains is applied with passenger comfort in mind. Rather than the speed a train could derail in a curve, of course, trains will derail when they are travelling too fast on curves, but each curve is calculated with good speed threshold, from the max allowed speed to the speed where it is likely to cause a derailment. These enforced maximum speeds can be ignored by tilting trains on routes fitted with the appropriate equipment. The tilting mechanism allows the train to travel above the conventional max speed whilst maintaining the comfort of the passengers. Of course, the bogies don't tilt and run as normal on the tracks. They do have corresponding forces applied to them when at higher speeds. But the train is built for doing exactly this. It will not derail if it stays under the max speed for the tilting run, even if it may look that way. What new gameplay can players look forward to with the DBBR 612? Mike says, with the tilting, a whole new driving experience is there for the player to experience. When going into sharp curves with the high speeds, it looks like the train will tip over. That's not going to happen, but it takes some getting used to. It's a bit different than only having super elevated tracks. The additional 8 degrees of tilt is scary for the first time you see it. We're talking about nearly 14 degrees tilting to the side. That doesn't sound like much, but feels massive when you're in the cab and makes driving a lot of fun. And wait until you see it from the outside, it looks fantastic. Have you or your team had any challenges whilst creating this train? Tom says, we're still not quite at the point where we can readily fly out and survey trains in other countries just yet, so that remains an ongoing challenge, and this was no exception. The curvature of the nose is deceptively straightforward looking at first glance, but required some back and forth to get it to the place we were happy with. Make says, as mentioned above, there were some new technical challenges to master. I put a good amount of time into the simulation of the three-stage fluid transmission and the hydraulic braking. Both work in interesting ways due to the 612's other unique features and designs. The 612's hydraulic braking is totally different from any I had previously produced, including the G6 shunter that I had recently worked on for Train Sim World 2. Then the brake blending was challenging because the 612 is doing some different things here to other trains. You can use the hydraulic braking with 2 different levers in the cab, but it acts differently depending on which lever you use. This is quite tricky, as you can imagine. Of course, the tilting system overall was a real challenge that needed to be achieved visually and had to tilt smoothly. Lots of parameters are running around in the background to achieve that. Some other challenging aspects were the engine group start-stop control and a few of the multiple unit systems like the per unit battery and high voltage lines. What have you or your team enjoyed most about recreating the 612? Mike says, simply put, I enjoy what you can do with Train Sim World 2 to create a train in nearly all aspects and as close to the real one as possible. Oh, and getting to drive it for 1,000 kilometres before anyone else can do it. My work on some of the systems is not always enjoyable in terms of having fun creating the stuff. However, the hard work and challenges it presents along the way mean I learn lots of new ways to improve and implement these complemented systems. That gives me a good feeling for my future work on Train Sim World 2 content. And then Tom finishes us up by saying, other than the fact we were able to introduce some new elements such as tilting with this release, we were also able to act on additional suggestions from collaborators, such as the coupler covers that serve to protect in the couplers in winter and were not in use in multiple set operation. These are configured to be present on sets running in colder weather and removed in warmer weather, much as they are in real world. So I'm guessing, well, small details like this are great little touches to include. I'm guessing, when it's maybe below 0 degrees, though, they will appear on the train. But yeah, that was the Dresden Chemnitz, which is actually coming soon. That's been quite quick, that on the roadmap. But yeah, coming soon. But that is an interview there for the 612. Obviously, do post any thoughts in the comments below. You will find a link in the description to the Discord server, to the PayPal, and to the merch store if you do want to help support the channel. But apart from that, thanks for coming in, and I hopefully will see you in the next one. See you all. Take care. Bye, guys.